Hello everyone, welcome. I'm David. I'm the founder and CEO of Tiny Clues. Welcome to 2020, the year where humans were supposed to become obsolete, robots were supposed to take over. I'm going to ask you a lot of stupid questions. First stupid question, how many of you own a self-driving car, like the Waymo car on the left-hand side? How many of you? How many of you used a self-driving car in their life once? Okay, not bad. How many of you got stuck in a Manhattan traffic jam once in their life? Okay. So, it's kind of obvious to everyone that self-driving cars have not yet taken over Manhattan. And actually, there was an interesting quote by the CEO of Waymo, so Google's self-driving car initiative, saying, it probably will never happen. It's too messy, too complicated. It's okay when you want to drive in the suburb of Phoenix, Arizona, like on the left-hand side. There's no car, there's no traffic, there's no nothing. But in real life, it's harder. Now, all that seems obvious to you, but what you may not know, and this is the topic of my talk, is that there is a similar story going on with marketing. And it's super important for all retailers to understand this story. So, you make the difference between the self-driving car and the traffic jam, but what do you see here? Second stupid question, what do you see? Do you see some cheese, or do you see a trap? Who sees some cheese? Who sees a trap? Okay, not so bad. So I call that the automation trap. The automation trap is the illusion that you're going to solve all your marketing problems through machines, AI, automation, and all that. And guess what? It's not going to happen. So, let's say you're a retailer. Let's invent the name for a retailer. You could be a tiny retailer. And let's say you have a couple of millions of customers in your database, and you want to talk to these customers about your new products. You want them to come again, to buy again, and you have a customer marketing program. You would have a stack with an ESP, a marketing cloud, whatever. If you look at your marketing, you would have two types of campaigns, two types of messages. Some messages will be fully automated. An example of that is the welcome sequence. When someone signs up, you're going to send this person a number of emails. The most famous trigger sequence is the cart recovery email. Someone sees a pair of socks, gray socks, you're going to push that pair of socks again until the person buys. And guess what? It works really, really well. This is fully automated, no doubt. This is kind of Phoenix, Arizona for marketing, okay? No traffic, no problem, but super easy. Now, if you sum all the messages that are coming from these triggers, journeys, automated sequences, they may account for 5%, for 10%, for 15% of your traffic, but it's never going to be a majority. On average, what we see is between 5 and 10%. Now, besides that, beyond that kind of marketing, you have a more old-fashioned way of running campaigns. You will do batch and blast. Who does batch and blast? Now, I'm sure more of you do batch and blast. Who has received batch and blast? Okay. So if you receive batch and blast, it means that the other guys are doing batch and blast, and probably you're also doing batch and blast. Or if you're not doing batch and blast, you're still reaching out to huge chunks of your database at a single time. Now, why don't you do everything in an automated fashion? Why do you care about running manual, human-driven marketing? Well, because you very quickly run out of a reason to retarget people based on what they did. You do marketing because you want to create demand. Cart recovery is fine, but you need a cart in the first place. So you do marketing because you want people to come to your site, shop, and then you can retarget them. Now, if you look at revenue, you have a slightly different picture because the cart recovery email is going to be super highly rated by your metrics that tend to be on last click attribution. But it's kind of biased. It's like saying that the person at the counter at the supermarket is making all the revenue for the supermarket. Or, last click attribution of your e-commerce website is probably the page where you enter your credit card number that does all the revenue. doesn't mean that you can get away with the rest of the e-commerce stack. You cannot. And for the same reason, even though it looks like automation is really the perfect thing in terms of revenue per message, it's a glass ceiling. I call that the automation ceiling. You may reach it at 5%, you may reach it at 10%, at 15%, but you will reach it. And you will continue to do marketer-led marketing that's not automated. What happens if you try to continue to increase your automated marketing and go through the automation ceiling? What happens? Really, really bad thing will happen. So I'm going to show you an horrible slide now. You will cry in pain. Forever 21. That was on Reddit. It was trending on Reddit about a year ago. Some guy received 20 emails in 24 hours from Forever 21. And you know, this sale is epic. Oh my God, we dropped the price. You know, of course it's a bug. It was never designed to be like that. But you have to imagine that for all these messages, there was some configuration of some automation sequence associated to that. So this is what will happen if you try to scale your growth, scale your revenue through automation. Now, it sounds completely stupid. Okay, we all know that Forever 21 is in trouble, and not just because of that. But why is it so hard? An interesting quote is, it was from one of the sessions yesterday from Billy May from J.Crew. The challenge you have is to be relevant. That's a very simple challenge. You're relevant when you do cart recovery to someone who just saw something, but this cannot be the one and only thing you talk about when you engage your customers. And guess what? Automation is great for the cart recovery, for the storytelling, for the new product, for the brand building things. It's not going to work. But everything I'm saying is like super obvious. There's nothing really new in what I'm saying. You all knew that. But the thing is, people continue to fall for the automation trap. Why is that? Why is that? I'm going to go back to my slide about the two types of marketing, and I'm going to give you an explanation. The optics are horrible. I'm a CEO, and as a CEO, if someone comes up to me and says, okay, we're running two kinds of marketing. One is automated, it's customer-centric, it's data-driven, nobody's working extra hours to do it, just 10% of the message do 40% of the revenue. And then we're doing the old marketing, gut feel, human creation, human design, not data-driven, not customer-centric, and it's less effective. And it's spam, you know? As a CEO, what am I going to say? I'm going to say, stop doing the non-automated marketing. This is the past. We're in 2020, the robots are taking over. Self-driving cars everywhere. Stop. Just do automation. Scale the automation. I don't want anyone to run any marketing campaign. There was a famous case in Europe of a very big multi-billion e-commerce company that did PR because they had fired 200 people running manual marketing campaigns 18 months ago. So this horrible decisioning is because the language you're using to describe the two kinds of marketing is the wrong language. So this is the first insight you're going to get from this talk. How to speak to your CEO and defend your turf, defend the case for the real marketing. Change the words, use the right words. The nuance between the two types of marketing is not about automation, it's that they serve different things. Is the cart recovery email really some marketing? Not really. I call that sales automation. It has to do with the digital transformation. Long time ago, when companies started doing websites, it was purely a showcase. It was not a commerce website. So the marketer was in charge, the CMO was in charge. And then it became an e-commerce website. But the problem with an e-commerce website is you have no salesperson in the store. It's a phantom store. There's no one. So the customer was in the pair of socks. If you want this customer to really buy, you have to replace, to emulate the salesperson. So this is why you do trigger marketing. And all that investment in marketing automation is here to compensate for the absence of a salesperson in the digital experience. And you absolutely need that. Otherwise, the conversion rate is not good. But this is not sales. This is not marketing. This is purely sales. There's nothing marketing about pushing back the item that someone has sold. In the B2B world, I'm running a B2B startup, and I can tell you that the people who do that in my company, they're in the sales team, they're not in the marketing team. So marketing automation does not really exist. Marketing automation is sales automation. It's a different thing. But the rest, the 90% of your traffic that you're doing with your own creative is something different. It's the real marketing. It is when you reach out to someone who has not been shopping for a while, and you say, hey, you know what? I have a new thing. It's completely new. Let me tell the story about this thing, or let me tell you that you have a nice promotion, something you never saw. And this marketing is super hard to automate. So once you set the language right, you can have the right conversation with your CEO and your organization, and they will recognize that it's quite obvious. Marketing is here to feed sales. And the red part is driving traffic for the yellow part, and they work together hand in hand. And this is normal. So let's have a look at what this real marketing is about and why it cannot be automated. Real marketing is a very old story. It's as old as ad, not ad tech, ad, the Mad Men type of ad. It's about storytelling. It's about brand building. In real life, in an e-commerce website or a retail customer marketing organization, CRM people are faced with a number of constraints. They have people coming up saying, hey, push my category. You have brands saying, hey, let's run a sponsored campaign on my brand. You have inventory issues, you have strategic priorities, you have flash sales, you have all that. And real marketing is about using these opportunities, these constraints, to actually drive demand. You solve two problems, you kill two birds with one stone. You drive demand, you create new demand. It's not just about reacting, it's being proactive, you generate demand, and you do that by solving very concrete, very burning business problems. And this is the real marketing, and guess what? The stack for that has not evolved in 20 years. It will not be an insult to anyone in the room if I tell you that I guess most of you are still doing that based on your gut feel, based on political, who is pushing hardest for their category. And this deserves to be data-driven. So the problem is not that this marketing is not automated. The problem is that this marketing is not customer-centric, not data-driven, not modern, it's not effective, doesn't scale, but this is not about automation. It's about solving these very concrete, very burning business problems. So I'm going to tell you about the solution how to get out of the automation trap. But if I summarize the story so far, how do you recognize that you're in that trap? First one, look at the floor here. You will see hundreds of startups pitching AI, automation, intelligent marketing, one-on-one personalization, all that. And you have to invest in that to a certain extent. Once you set up the automation sequences, you're done. You cannot do your cat recovery better than anyone else. This is completely commoditized technology. But besides that, you have your real marketing. This is the bulk of your marketing. This is how your customers are perceiving you as a brand. If this is 90% of your traffic, this is 90% of the experience you're creating for your customers. If you still do batch and blast, and have made little progress because you did not invest at all, you're in the automation trap. Another symptom is that you're not addressing the infighting dimension of the constraints on the real marketing. If you have to say no to your category manager, so if you're a category manager and your marketing keeps telling you that they cannot push your products, or if it's just decided by politics, it means that you did not invest in this massive organizational problem, which is how do you decide or you create a marketing plan. So this is point 2 and 3. Yeah? It's gut feel, getting people frustrated. What happens if you cannot build a storytelling, a brand building, narrative for your customers, you end up doing the easier thing, discount. And if you go back to the Forever 21 slide, you're stuck in a situation where the only thing you can talk about is your price. It's super easy to send a coupon. You can automate that. The thing is, it's not working for your top line, it's not working for your bottom line, and it's not, you get no stickiness from your customers. They come to you because you have things to tell them, because you have products. This is marketing, it's really the madman thing. I mean, if a battle was about automation, you would lose that battle right away against Amazon. You have no chance if you think that automation is the game. The automation game, you cannot win it. But you can win the relevance, the storytelling. You can win at having the best products and the best story. So these are the practical symptoms. And the organizational symptom, which is usually the root cause of all that, your management was buying the story that by 2020, robots would take over and humans would be obsolete. So it's super important that you rebuild that narrative. So now let me tell you how you're going to solve real marketing. So real marketing is about humans. They're not going away. It's not about humans driving self-driving cars. You don't need that. Think about Manhattan. What do you need to survive in Manhattan traffic? You don't need self-driving car. You will be dead in 5 minutes. What you need is super simple. You need power steering and you need Waze. So the story around AI, many people get it wrong. They think that AI is about automation. Automation is really the boring part of AI. The interesting part, the value-creating part, is augmenting humans. It's like Waze. You're still driving, but you're a smarter driver. You're an augmented driver. You have superpowers. So let me tell you about Tiny Cubes, how we solve that. Just one example, of course. We think this is the right pattern for AI. And AI for real marketing, what is it? Well, first thing is find the right thing to talk about. You may have new products, you may have category managers coming to you to talk about certain things, you may have an existing marketing plan, but there certainly are gaps in that marketing plan. Usually you talk about your best sellers, your biggest categories. What if you have a small category that usually wouldn't make it to your marketing plan? But that small category is very segmenting, and only 3% of your customers make 80% of your revenue on that category. For these 3%, it's not a small category, it's a big one. And what if these 3% receive less messages from you? It means that you have a gap in your marketing plan. This is the kind of features that we provide in the inside part of our solution, telling you maybe you have blind spots in your marketing plan, maybe you have topics that would be good complements to what you're already planning to do. And then building a consistent plan, organizing the campaign so that the selection of topics you have creates a diversity that will cater to the diversity of people in your database. And then every time you want to talk about something, finding the right people. This is AI still. We're going to predict who is most likely to be interested by this message. But that's not AI that is replacing you as a marketer. You will still have to have an offer, create a message, but finding the right audience is super powerful. It's like Waze. You know where you want to go, but we tell you the shortest path to do that. And you measure success. These things are very practical. They're rooted in the day-to-day marketing, the real marketing, the marketing that is decided by humans, the marketing that is solving business problems. And because it's so practical, you will measure the impact on a day-to-day basis, and you will see that it works, that it's solving the business problems, that it's driving revenue. So the marketing equation that you try to solve, we like to view it as having 3 dimensions. One is the most tangible ones. All marketers have goals in terms of how much dollars they generate. And of course, by being smarter, you're going to generate more revenue. Our clients see uplift between plus 30 to plus 150%. Part of that uplift is because we target better. But part of that uplift is because once you get that power of building a smarter marketing plan, you can scale your marketing. There's a very important lesson, which is that if your marketing becomes relevant, there's no limitation to the amount of campaigns, to the amount of the number of topics that you can use to engage your customers. Why is that? Because you measure a better customer experience. All marketers claim to be customer-centric, but I've never met any marketers that was really having an incentive at having good lifetime value metrics like unsub rates. So we know that marketers want to drive dollars, but they're super happy when they see that they're getting less frustration from their customers. But the most important part, which is really what distinguishes the real marketing from the sales automation, is that it's not just dollars and experience. It's dollars and experience that is aligned with what you as a business wants to achieve. And this is critical. You're going to be able to drive the revenue in the direction you want to solve the current problem that your business has. And this is the part that makes it impossible to automate. Because the inputs for that, the priorities, they're never in the system. Nobody knows that you have a very critical partner and that you should be running a campaign for that partner. Nobody knows in your system that your CEO really wants you to push that niche category that she thinks is really strategic. So this ability to drive a business in a certain direction is a critical characteristic of real marketing and the real reason why you cannot automate it. So in a nutshell, this is about real marketing powered by AI, powered by deep learning. But it's an interesting position. You know, it's not about replacing the human, it's about augmenting the humans. In the end, the marketer will make all the decisions, but this will be decision enlightened by data. Let me take a step back and stop talking about technicals, but talk about where the market is going. And since it's the beginning of 2020, let me share some insights from a Forrester report about the evolving role of the CMO. And you will see that it kind of aligns with the value points that I was mentioning. It's a very harsh report. I recommend that you read it. It's actually scary. What they basically say is the pure revenue attribution dimension of running campaigns and measuring their revenue, it's broken. It's broken why? Because attribution is broken because it's not the right proxy for the strategic value, which is customer lifetime value or total revenue or product development and product market fit. This is why some companies are ditching the CMO title and replacing that by Chief Experience Officer or Chief Commerce Officer or Chief Digital Officer or Chief whatever officer. The problem is what used to be smart and advanced in terms of marketing has been completely commoditized. Interestingly, the disruption which is coming from companies that are perceived as being purely tech company, the Dollar Shave Club, you think that it's a very modern startup. It's not like the big old FMCG company or Casper or Peloton, whatever. If you look very carefully, they're not really tech companies. They're actually companies deeply anchored in storytelling with a very strong brand. And it shows the power of brands. And it's a lesson for retailers. It's not a battle about mathematics and automation. It's a battle about branding, about storytelling, about why you exist in the eyes of the consumer. The consequence, to be able to create sustainable businesses with sustainable value and long-term engagement of customers, the marketers have to step up and broaden, expand their remits. They need to control the customer experience over the long term. They need to control the product strategy. Very concretely, the prediction by Forrester is they will have to step up or step out. This is the harsh part. They say that about 10% of marketers will manage to do that. But for me, the most exciting lesson is the one about creativity and strategy. Again, a quote from the same report. The tech mess, what I was talking about, everybody telling you that AI is going to save the planet and probably take away your job, you know? Actually, let's get back to basics. Marketing is about marketing. It's about creativity. It's about strategy. So you have a clear choice, losing control or gaining control. And this will be my final slide. The concrete takeaway for you is that even though automation and productivity is really important, don't remove your cart recovery sequence. You need it. The real marketing is continuing to run the show. That's the only place where you can generate demand. That's the only place where you can solve strategic business problems. And this one will never be automated. So don't get bullied into putting all your eggs in one basket and just investing in the automation part of the stack. The visionary marketers will understand that AI is not about taking their job, it's about augmenting their capabilities. So I think it's a pretty good moment once you realize that marketing is alive, it's not dead, and robots have not taken over.